UFC Austin. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event, Kattar versus Josh Emmett. It's a pretty great card. We're going to talk about each of the matchups. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on and share the video as well. And let's jump into the first one. It is Phil Hawes and Deron Winn. I'm going to be picking the Phil Hawes side here. The stand-up game, to me, is clearly better for him. And I think striking is going to be a good path to victory here. Forward pressure. Deron Winn's a good wrestler and maybe even a better wrestler than Phil Hawes. But I feel like Hawes' defense will be there if he is taken down. I find him getting back up to the feet. Deron Winn, undersized for the weight class as far as his height goes. He's only 5'6", but he misses weight at 194 in the last one. So he's a weird case. He's real stocky. I think he's going to get hurt with straight shots here. His boxing is okay, still developing, decent hooks in the close range. Phil Hawes is a lot more crisp with his punching. He has nice front kicks. He's explosive. He's fast. He's always been like really hyped up, and people thought Phil Hawes was like the next John Jones years back. Never happened for him. He's 33 now, and it's really a now or never moment. Still 11-3, good record. Good wins going in the UFC. Chris Curtis badly knocked him out in the last one, but he was winning the fight, and there were positive things to take away. I see him beating Deron Winn here. I'm also going to say knockout. I think Hawes sleeps him in the second round, and he's hurts him with straight shots, maybe even a front kick up the center too, because I see straight shots as a path to victory right down the line on the chin of Deron Winn. The odds, minus 239 for Phil Hawes. Deron Winn around plus 211, best value. I like the Phil Hawes side. I am going to say KO. I'll say second round, and I think the explosiveness and the striking overall skill set on the feet, biggest difference maker between the two. It's going to be interesting to see how the wrestling plays out. I expect them to kind of cancel one another out, and I think Hawes standing up gets the knockout win here. Let's get to the next one. Fight number 2 is Daukaus versus Roman Dolidze. Both grapplers here, so this will be interesting. I'm going to be picking the Daukaus side. I think that the grappling on this one could also somewhat cancel each other out. Maybe Dolidze is a little quicker with his transitions on the floor, maybe even a little more dangerous on top. But he's going to have a hard time taking Daukaus down. I think the defense of Daukaus is there with the wrestling. He does attack with submissions too. The Dar Snipe for a reason. He's good at catching necks. I like the front headlock position for Daukaus, so Dolidze couldn't get carried away over shooting for takedowns, which I don't necessarily think that he will. He's going to try to wrestle. I think he'll try to work control against the cage. I think Daukaus can meet him in that department. I think Daukaus striking has the edge. I think he's the better kickboxer. His brother, Chris Daukaus, up a weight class. I guess up 2 weight classes. Really not necessarily, the top of the top, but still a pretty good fighter, good hands. I think the boxing skill set for Daukaus, overall kickboxing too, is going to be better than Dolidze. He's the longer guy by really, I guess, not much, 6'3" to 6'2", but when he's in there, he looks like he's got longer arms. He definitely has a lot more of a narrow frame, so I don't know. I'm curious the actual arm length numbers. I talk about it all the time. I'd like to see them. I like Daukaus' game, though. I think the submission defense is there. Even the offense for him, it's not impossible for him to catch Dolidze in something. I feel like Daukaus may also have the better gas tank of the two, less muscle-bound than Dolidze, and I like Daukaus to win, leaning it towards a decision, but I could also see a potential late finish, maybe even a submission from the Daukaus side if he hurts Dolidze on the feet. The odds have Daukaus minus 210 is the favorite, Dolidze plus 190. I am on Daukaus, and I do like him to win. I'm going to say decision, but I could also see a late finish here. Next fight of the night, Cody Stamann versus Eddie Wineland. Wineland is on the serious decline with the back-to-back knockout losses. I'm going to pick the Cody Stamann side straight out the gate, and it's a crazy wide line, and it's because Wineland, 2 bad knockout losses in a row, but against John Castaneda, up until he got caught, I feel like he was winning that fight. He was still looking pretty good with the stand-up. He has like an old-school bare-knuckle brawler type style, the way he comes forward on his opponents. Good straight shots. He does hit hard. His chin is high, though, and he's hittable down the center. Cody Stamann, not great from range striker, but in the close punching range, he does have dangerous hooks. He's the better wrestler of the two by a fair amount. I do think he's going to mix in takedowns here. Wineland, I have a feeling could get caught on the feet, actually. Won't be surprised if Stamann takes them all three and wins the decision, but the way Wineland has been going downward, Cody Stamann, he needs a win right now as well. He's on a longer losing streak than Wineland, but still, I don't want to say young for bantamweight. He's not 32 is the prime, especially at bantamweight. 37, Wineland is more towards the tail end, if not beyond the prime. And I think Cody Stamann is going to get a second round knockout. I'm going to say mixing in some takedowns, and he'll find openings on the feet. I think that Wineland chin is just there to be hit too much. And, as fighters get older, they don't take as good of a shot, and their reflexes diminish. Having the high guard up will definitely be is a better defensive pathway for fighters that are aging a bit. But Wineland's style, based upon the hands low, pressure style, confident striking, he's in your face, he's fun to watch, and I do think he's getting knocked out here by Cody Stamann. But the line is not great. It is wide towards Stamann at minus 400, Wineland plus 373. I'm going to pick Stamann. I'm going to pick him by knockout, but obviously the bet there is ugly as wide as it is. Let's get to the next one. Danny Chavez versus Ricardo Ramos. I like this fight between both these two. Striking matchup. I'm picking the Ramos side. I'm high on Ramos, and I do feel like he has a good skill set. I don't know why I get this Charles Oliveira flair from him. Lesser Charles Oliveira. Obviously does not bring near that jiu-jitsu game and doesn't even have the same style. But both Brazilian guys have, I don't know, somewhat of a similar look. Prospects. Ramos has good kickboxing. I like him from range. He has low fight IQ a lot of times. Does this dumb moves in there occasionally, like that, the rear behind the front leg kick that he was throwing a couple fights back. But the hands of Ramos aren't bad. The kicks from distance are good. He moves in and out of range well, closes distance, moves overall well laterally. He's a quick guy, and the big cage definitely is a benefit here for Ramos, which I'm excited for. Danny Chavez, a more in-your-face brawler type style, does have a pretty wide stance and a strong base. He's explosive, has a bit of power in the hands for sure. Heavy low kicks. I think that Ramos can land more and keep Chavez away from him. Look at the height difference, only 1 inch, but the reach is strongly in the favor of Ramos at 72 inches as opposed to 67. I think from distance, that's an advantage. I think Ramos being the longer guy, probably with the legs, he's going to be kicking, moving, he's quicker, harder to get a hold of. I don't think Chavez can wrestle Ramos. I don't think he has the offensive abilities. I think Ricardo Ramos, I'm going to say win by decision over Danny Chavez here. He's only 26 as well, and he's a prospect that I'm still keeping my eye on, 15-4. He's got a lot of potential, and I want to see in the next few years if he can turn up. I think there's some good talent there, and it just needs to be obviously perfected. He's a big favorite as well in this fight, minus 290. Danny Chavez plus 260. There's definitely some big favorites early that I do see getting them done. Ricardo Ramos, and it's still a hard fight, but I see him winning a decision here. Line wide. It is what it is. Let's jump to the next one. It is Gloria de Paula versus Maria Oliveira. I'm picking the Gloria de Paula side. If you remember, Oliveira was on the Contender Series against Marina Rodrigues, and she ended up quitting after getting hit there. Did get signed by the UFC, though. Lost her last one to Tabitha Ricci. Fight where she was controlled with takedowns, but had okay striking moments. Maria Oliveira has okay hands, decent straight shots, but Gloria de Paula is definitely the crisper kickboxer of the two. She's more dangerous. I think she's more technically sound. The grappling of the two, neither, shines, I guess, in that department. They're both more strikers, so I am excited to see what happens when these two mix it up on the feet. I think de Paula's more dangerous, though. Oliveira, I see more hittable, that square stance, a lot of arm punches, whereas I see de Paula does pack a bit of power. I said she's got sneaky power here, a solid jab, a good straight that follows. I feel like she holds her ground well. She'll hold that center of the cage. She'll pressure her opponents patiently, and I like the stand-up a lot. I'm actually going to say Gloria de Paula by knockout. Don't have like an exact round, but I'm thinking second or third. Could also happen in the first. I think de Paula does get it done with the striking. Looking at the lines, Oliveira, let's find her here. Minus 249, de Paula the favorite. Maria Oliveira plus 221. I like the Gloria de Paula side getting her hand raised by a knockout in this women's strawweight fight. Should be a good striking battle. Let's jump to the next fight on this prelim card. Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Natália Silva. I'm picking the Jasudavicius side. It's hard to pick Natália Silva. I mean, she's dog, and she's not a bad fighter. Her last fight was 2 years, 4 months ago over at Jungle Fight, which is a quality league in Brazil. She fights fairly comfortably out of both stances. Does get a little bit wild standing up at times from her most recent fight especially. She was banging in that pocket. Jasudavicius has some pro boxing fights. She's got good Muay Thai. She controls distance well with a stiff jab. She's strong in the clinch and with the wrestling defense. Natália Silva, to me, really hasn't fought the competition. You see, she does have a good ground game, a competent ground game for sure, but against subpar opponents, right? You go towards the resumes. I mean, Gabrielle Goffin, at least Reed, she's still in the UFC though, right? It's still something. Look at the past few. Lately, it's been the big turn up. Beating solid girls. I think the biggest concern would be if Jasudavicius is taken to the mat. How does she look? I think she'll hold her own. And I don't necessarily see Natália Silva with great offensive wrestling, though she doesn't have a bad jiu-jitsu game. I believe purple belt. Like 99% sure it's purple belt. Jasudavicius, to me, should be able to fend off the attempts. I think she'll be competent on the ground, if not even excel there. And I think she's going to be fairly dominant on her way to a lopsided decision potentially here over Natália Silva, who's a bit of a raw talent. I'm going to say Jasudavicius for the win. I'd love to say knockout, but tough for me to say on this one. I'm leaning towards Jasudavicius' decision, but I wouldn't be shocked if she did get a knockout too. Odds minus 245 for Jasudavicius. Natália sitting at plus 230 as the wide underdog. Give me that Jasudavicius side. Let's get to the next one. It is Jeremiah Wells in Court McGee. I'm going with the junkyard dog Court McGee here. I know Wells is a powerhouse and he's dangerous. The odds right now, Wells minus 114, Court McGee plus 108. So I do got the dog in this one. I think that Court McGee is more well-rounded. He's not going to rely on the explosiveness and power. He's going to rely on his toughness, his ability to move forward, land significant strikes, look for takedowns, wear on his opponents. Court McGee can grind a win out, and he's perfectly fine doing so. Jeremiah Wells is an explosive powerhouse who looks for the finish. He's going to go for the kill. And I think in this matchup here, it's going to be extremely hard to knock Court McGee out. This guy's very durable as of late. Has been lasting with like decent fighters, in the losses. Diego Lima, split loss, not the best look. Sean Brady, beast. Carlos Condit, striking legend. Beats Claudio Silva, beats Ramiz Brahimaj. I mean, the Warley Alves win is impressive. It was explosive. The Blood Diamond win, to me, doesn't have a ton of merit on it. Court McGee's going to be too well-rounded. I think he's going to wear on Jeremiah Wells. I'm leaning towards McGee by decision. He's going to be tough to finish. I think Wells is going to explode on him and have moments. I think McGee will eventually get the clinch, land takedowns. I think that as Wells slows down, the striking will become more competitive. Early, I think Wells is a real edge. And if he can clean clock Court McGee, it's not impossible for him to sleep him. But I don't think it's super likely. I'm going to say Court McGee wins a decision by wearing out the explosive monster in Jeremiah Wells here. He's just got to be more technical, and he's got to fight intelligently, which I believe Court McGee will. Tough as nails, too. And as I said, plus 108 is the dog, minus 114 for Wells as the favorite. Give me Court McGee for the win. Underdog. Let's get to the featured prelim of the night. Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelley. I'm picking Adrian Yanez, but Tony Kelley's not an easy out. Maybe, probably, definitely more impressive against Randy Costa as opposed to Adrian Yanez. I mean, he struggled early. Kelley kind of ran right through him. Now, I think that Yanez's stand-up game is really good. It's fun to watch. He's a crisp boxer. He's pretty smooth with his combinations. Masvidal-esque flow. Tony Kelley on the other side is a slick kickboxer. Fairly athletic, too. Experience, I guess not super experienced in the amount of fights, but he's 35. And you can see that he's becoming more seasoned. He's definitely improving. He has a competent game on the ground as well. But I think Yanez and him are going to do a lot of striking. Kelley might try to mix in takedowns, though, which I think is a smart game plan to try to throw the Yanez rhythm. But I think Yanez's hands are going to be moving well. I feel like he is more dangerous than Kelley, and I could see him stunning him. I think he's going to control his ground well. I don't think Kelley will have like a ton of offensive success, but I have a feeling Tony Kelley survives. I think he's going the full three. I'm going to say Adrian Yanez to win a unanimous decision here. I think it'll be more dominant than his win over Davey Grant, but still a fight. fight against a live guy in Tony Kelley. Now, looking at the lines here for this matchup, Tony Kelley is sitting at the plus 300 underdog. Adrian Yanez, the minus 331 favorite. I like that Adrian Yanez side, but it's very wide, and I could see Kelley surviving. So maybe an over 1.5 play potentially lands you some cash on this matchup. So definitely one to watch out for as the props are dropping. I like Yanez, though, to get the win. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys have not yet, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It is Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodrigues. RoboCop in the house. I love watching Rodrigues fight, but unfortunately, I'm picking against him here. I actually think Julian Marquez has a pretty real shot to beat him. Gregory Rodrigues is a powerhouse, good forward pressure. Now, does expose himself throwing big power shots. Julian Marquez is a durable guy. He's got pretty good straight punches. I think a straight shot could actually land well down the line for Julian Marquez. On the mat, Gregory Rodrigues, dangerous jiu-jitsu, but you can't count Marquez's ground game out either, really. Rodrigues is probably the more explosive and heavy hitter, but Marquez, durable, proven durable, bit of pop in the hands. I don't know, he has like his own unique flow, good straight shots, like a decent pressure style, has good jiu-jitsu. He's getting back in the flow because you look, 3 years ago, he lost to Alexi Dicharok. Really, 4 years ago. He comes back a year and 3 months ago, so that was a solid layoff over 2 years. Didn't look great against Mackie Pitolo, got the win. Comes back, beats up Sam Alvey. I think he's going to look better in this matchup because we're looking at a year off. Obviously, it's not great to see him taking another year off, but I think he's going to look better in this matchup. At least it hasn't been like a super long layoff. I think he's back in the rhythm of things, maybe. I'm going to say Julian Marquez for the win. I'm leaning towards knockout late here over Gregory Rodrigues. I think Rodrigues is going to throw bombs at him, might even hurt Marquez and get himself finished, maybe even gassing for a stoppage. Marquez for the win. I'm going to say knockout, but you know what? If he locked up a sub, I wouldn't be totally shocked. Plus 169 for Marquez. Gregory Rodrigues minus 186 as the favorite. Going dog, Julian Marquez for the win. Let's get to the next fight. This main card is hot, guys. Damir Ismagulov, Guram Kutateladze. Love the matchmaking, and I think Guram Kutateladze is going to get the win in this fight. When you look at the tape, Ismagulov, he's good with his takedowns. He's strong with his pressure. He has a pretty tricky stand-up game. I think Kutateladze is quicker. I think he's got better reflexes. I think he actually manages distance, moves in and out of range maybe better. Ismagulov holds his ground well, though, but he does weather. Later in fights, you can see him fatiguing a bit. I don't necessarily see that same style with Kutateladze. His wrestling defense is solid, and if Ismagulov can't get takedowns, I think on the feet, Guram's got an advantage also with the boxing, too. I think he's a little bit of a harder puncher. I could see him landing good shots. Both guys, extremely good fighters, and I am so excited to see who moves forward in this truly stacked lightweight division at this point, as there's unranked monsters, and these are two of them. I'm going to say Guram Kutateladze win by decision over Damir Ismagulov. He's going to stop the takedowns. He might get taken down a couple times, finds his way up. I think he lands good strikes on the feet, faster with his hands. And I see him getting the hand raised over Ismagulov, who's not an easy out. I mean, 23-1. You look at the UFC career for him, 4 fights, 4 wins, and solid wins too. Guram got just that 1 win over Mateusz Gamrot. He felt it was a robbery and he should have lost the fight. Mateusz is now like going big time, getting some solid wins and fighting Arman Sarukian. I think Guram Kutateladze is top line. He trains with Khamzat Chimaev as well. And I think that he's a quality underdog. I'm saying Guram for the win by decision. Plus 153 as the dog. Damir Ismagulov minus 162. Another note on Guram, the big note I saw. He's great at scrambling. And obviously training with Khamzat Chimaev, you better be if you want to survive any bit of wrestling in the training room. Guram Kutateladze win by a decision over Damir Ismagulov. Upset. The next fight is Joaquin Buckley and Albert Duraev. I was sitting on this one, and I really thought about it, and I'm going to have to pick Joaquin Buckley. Duraev seems overrated to me. That debut against Kopylov, he was tested a bit. Kopylov, like a tricky, technical striker. And, you know, obviously the takedown defense was there. Buckley doesn't have bad takedown defense either. He's actually got very strong hips. heavy-handed, definitely a bigger finisher than a Roman Kopylov. I think he can hurt Duraev. If Duraev is able to take Buckley to the ground, control him, beat him up, look for maybe an arm triangle, rear naked choke, there's real paths to victory. It's going to be about, can Buckley stop the takedown? I'm banking on yes, and if he does get taken down, for the most part, he'll find his ways up, and he's not going to be manhandled on the mat here. And I don't think Duraev has that Chimaev-style control from the top. I think he's a decent wrestling guy, good pressure, okay hands too. He's not a bad fighter, but I think Joaquin Buckley for the win. I'm actually going to lean towards Buckley maybe getting the knockout, but could also see it by decision. His boxing's the biggest difference maker. He's more explosive than the two, more athletic. He's the faster guy, and I see Duraev getting hurt with punches here. I'm going Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to say win by KO. Looking at the line, Buckley plus 172 as the dog, Duraev minus 186. It's close money. The EV at the end doesn't scare me as much as the OV here. I mean, we don't have Chimaev in this one. I'm saying Joaquin Buckley for the win. He's going to beat Albert Duraev. I'm going to say by knockout. And the stand-up is the biggest difference maker. And, of course, he has to stop some takedowns or at least get back up to the feet. You can't be controlled throughout the fight. I don't think he will be. I think the explosiveness is there, and he'll get the win. Knockout, Joaquin Buckley. Featured bout of the night, Tim the Dirty Bird Means and Kevin Holland. I'm picking Kevin Holland to win. And I think that his range is a big difference maker. He's so much longer than Tim Means. I think he's quicker, mean straight punches. Really getting the win was needed against Cowboy Oliveira. Now he gets to ride that momentum up. I actually think Oliveira might have been a harder stylistic matchup than Means, just because the fact he was so much more explosive. Means is a tough guy. He's going to come forward. He'll spike down on the mouthpiece and throw a bit, but he's well-rounded too. Has solid takedowns. His stand-up game isn't bad at all. He does have power in the hands. He was picking apart Nicholas Dalby in the last one, but I think he's going to have a hard time getting to Kevin Holland with the range difference between the two. Tim Means is a pretty tall guy at 6'2", but the reach favors Kevin Holland by 6 inches, and the height favors Kevin Holland by an inch. He's longer. He's quicker. I think he's going to land shots, especially at the end of the punch, that could potentially hurt Tim Means. I'm actually leaning towards, though, Kevin Holland by club and sub, win by submission. I'm going to say Holland by sub, which might be a stretch, but I feel like he might hurt Tim Means and then lock up a neck. We've seen Tim Means in that front headlock position, guillotined in the past. I see Kevin Holland with those long arms having some real potential to pull off that sub on a hurt Tim Means here. Sneaky power favors Holland, and I think the jiu-jitsu black belt could carry through. Also, solid calf kicks. I see him picking apart the legs a bit of Tim Means. Granted, he's going to have to switch his stance to do so, because you know what? Tim Means, southpaw, it's something we also got to know. I see that straight punch down the line for Holland more effective with a southpaw Tim Means, who likes to plod forward, who likes to fight inside, who's strong and probably going to look to clinch up a bit. I think he's going to have a harder time getting control of Kevin Holland than maybe he's expecting. And I think he's going to end up getting cracked by some strikes and dropped. Choked out or knocked out. I'm going to go submission, but I could also see win by KO. I think Tim Means is in trouble against Kevin Holland. Minus 214 for Holland. Tim Means plus 191. And let's see where Kevin Holland can take this thing in the welterweight division. Let's get to the co-main event. Cowboy Cerrone, Joe Lauzon. I've broken this fight down before. It was before UFC 274. And then Cowboy pulled out the day of the fight. He was saying some interesting things all week long, talking about he's fighting for his son. He was getting emotional. And I've sat on this one for a while. Cowboy is a very nervous fighter. He gets the real, I don't want to say he gets controlled by his butterflies, but in the spotlight, if you're talking about any guy that has significantly underperformed on multiple bases, it's been Cowboy. Like, he's let us down. He's let himself down, really, several times in the cage on fight day. Joe Lauzon is a brawler who's going to come to press. He starts fast, and he likes to fight. I'm going to go towards the Joe Lauzon side. So if you watch that 274 breakdown, I'm going against my original pick here. Time has gone by. Circumstances change things. I think Cowboy Cerrone, more time to think about the fight, worse for him. The pressure of the moment's building. It's a freaking UFC Austin co-main event. This is a big card, and I think Joe Lauzon comes back, gets to win in emphatic fashion. Also have to root truly for the Massachusetts guy. Got to give him some love. I think his hands are going to be the difference maker too. Cowboy can't box, especially at this point of his career. He needs to be really precise with kicks and maybe catch Lauzon with a high kick. Going to be a lot easier said than done. I think Lauzon gets inside, boxes his face off, gets a stoppage. I'm saying Joe Lauzon by knockout over a flat Cowboy Cerrone. Cerrone, the favorite, minus 157. Lauzon, plus 147 is a dog. I think you have to go the dog way here, because there's no way I could really confidently throw down on Cowboy Cerrone. But I do think fight ends inside of the distance is a great bet, or an under 2.5 here. Joe Lauzon by knockout in the co-main event. The boxing, the difference maker. I don't think Cowboy Cerrone's hands are there. His head movement is definitely not there. He's getting hit a ton nowadays. The kicks are his best way to win, and I don't see him out-grappling Joe Lauzon on the mat. Doesn't have the better wrestling either. I think he's getting knocked out. Joe Lauzon for the win, underdog. And the main event of the evening, if you guys haven't, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe. It is Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett. What a great main event. What a great UFC Austin card, guys. I am stoked for this. This is near pay-per-view quality card. Like, I love the match. If we just had a title on the line at the top, that's a pay-per-view card right here. Calvin Kattar for the win. He's the pick in the main event. Difference maker. I think he's the faster striker. I think that he also can go longer. Doesn't necessarily make as many technical mistakes. And I'm not saying Josh Emmett makes a lot of them, but he throws so much power into every strike. There are times where he's out of position. A guy like Calvin Kattar, who's crisp with that good boxing game, is going to get the knockout. He's going to counter strike on Josh Emmett. I think he's going to hurt him with the hands here, maybe even an elbow too. I'm going to go Calvin Kattar to win by KO. Josh Emmett does have a wrestling base. I think Calvin Kattar, even if Josh Emmett's shooting, is going to be defensively sound. But let's be real. Emmett has fallen in love with the stand-up game. He's going to have a hard time hitting Calvin Kattar. If he does hit him, Calvin Kattar is probably the most durable guy in the featherweight division. I guess you can equally line him up with Volkanovski, but maybe not. Maybe Calvin Kattar actually takes a bigger shot, because he took everything Max Holloway had and he went the full 5, and then he came back and looked better than ever against the most dangerous kickboxer, technically, right? True kickboxer, Giga Chikadze in the last one. Mixed in some wrestling, beat the brakes off of him on the feet. I think he's going to hurt Josh Emmett here. Emmett was also hurt against Dan Ige. He's been knocked out in the past. I'm saying Calvin Kattar with the knockout. I'm leaning it second or third round. I think Emmett could have moments in that first, and that's where he's going to be most dangerous, but he's not going to put Kattar down with punches. The natural toughness of these Boston fighters, and then let alone it's Calvin Kattar, it's going to come through for him. I see him catching Josh Emmett and putting him to sleep. Could it be an elbow? Definitely possible, but I'm more so leaning maybe a straight punch, maybe a hook, as Emmett's trying to close distance and he's getting overzealous with overhands and he gets cracked here. I'm going Calvin Kattar to win, and he's right at the top. I mean, potential title shot looming, depending on the Volkanovski-Holloway result. Josh Emmett plus 206 as the dog. Calvin Kattar, the minus 225 favorite. I like Calvin Kattar for the win, and I think that he's going to look pretty damn good doing it against Josh Emmett in what's a sweet main event to cap off UFC Austin. This is getting an A rating from me. I love this card. Cannot wait to talk about it more throughout the entire week, so keep it locked in on the channel. Smash the likes here. Subscribe if you guys are new and turn on those post notifications. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you have anything to say, just drop a W in the chat to boost that algorithm. Much love, my people, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.